So the first disease we'll be looking at today is the dengue virus, which is a viral hemorrhagic fever, which makes it similar to Ebola and yellow fever. It's also in the same family of viruses as the later mentioned West Nile virus, and its most common vector, or its vector, is Aedes mosquitoes, and these are the two most common: the Aedes aegypti and the Aedes albopictus. So the symptoms of dengue can include nausea and vomiting, a rash, aches and joints of the muscles. The it has a similarity of aches behind the eyes, which is similar to malaria, which makes the two very easily mixed up. And these symptoms can last up to 7 days. Dengue has a 7-day incubation period where the patient has no symptoms but can still uh, walk around perfectly fine. They can eat well, but there is no specific treatment for dengue, which means that after you catch it, you can just all you have to do is get rest and eat paracetamol, which is the guidance. And 1 in 20 people can develop severe symptoms, which can cause shock and internal bleeding, which is can cause death. So the diagnosis for dengue, the most common diagnosis is from PCR tests or NATs, which is where our blood is taken from the patient. But it can also be diagnosed from just the symptoms, but um, you don't want to do this too often because it gets easily mixed up with malaria. So, okay, so where did dengue come from? It came from Asia or Africa, and it eventually spread to South America, which is now its biggest, where it has the most infections. And it was a virus which evolved from primates, uh, which were non-human, like monkeys, apes, and lemurs. So on the far right, you have lemurs, and on the far left, you have apes. So as you can see, all four strains of the dengue virus were found in Asia originally, and 2 strains were found in South America and Africa. So in 2021, it has infected over 100 countries around the world, and the most infected countries, as I mentioned before, were the South Americas, with Brazil, Colombia, Peru being the top three. Brazil almost having 1 million cases, which is the most in the world. So as you can see, South America has over it has all of the dengue strains. Africa also has all of them. Oceania and Asia also have all 4 strains. So in Europe, there were 6 cases of imported dengue between 2007 and before the outbreak in 2010. 6 of these 7 cases were from Southeast Asia, uh, and one of these cases brought over the Aedes albopictus from a plane. It was first found in 2004. So now in Europe, after the 2010 outbreak, there have been 46 cases in France, which is the most out of any European country, 11 in Italy, 8 in Spain, and 1 in Germany.
Okay, so the tropical disease that I researched is lymphatic filariasis, which is a zoonotic tropical disease found mainly in intertropical areas. This is a parasitic infection caused by roundworms, namely filarial parasites. 3 of which cause filariasis, and most commonly the Bancrofti species is responsible. And a small amount of cases are split over 2 other species and is transmitted, like many other tropical diseases, by a mosquito vector who ingest infected blood, which then gets injected into a human host, um, where larvae mature and migrate to lymph vessels where they can live for up to 8 years, producing many more millions of larvae which can just circulate around in the blood. And the majority of these cases are initially asymptomatic, much like coronavirus, encouraging a rapid spread. And it can cause many urological complications like lymphatic hydrocele, which has been found in travelers from endemic areas such as Central Africa and Southeast Asia, and also lymphedema, where the lymphatic system is impaired and leads to abnormal enlargement of limbs, commonly the genitalia, arms and legs, due to blocked lymph drainage, which is often permanent and can cause financial losses as well as the obvious mental and social impacts of this. And only 6 years ago, this infection was documented in France, with nearly 60% of cases being asymptomatic, which without testing could spread quickly through certain parts of Europe, but were diagnosed through antigen tests and blood tests, which are painful and often take a long time to review, which made me think that perhaps small test kits similar to the diabetic finger prick test could be developed to save time by giving an instant result there and then without the need for larger quantities of blood being required. And although European cases are rare due to the lack of mosquito populations in most of Europe, there is still a chance due to the millions of travelers from these endemic areas coming to coastal areas of Mediterranean Europe, like Italy, the south of France, and eastern Spain, where there are already established mosquito colonies, which could allow for vector transmission. And there is nothing to say that with global warming, mosquitoes could migrate further north into Europe, making this disease a possible future threat. And with development of this test, and with the help of the World Health Organization's Global Elimination Program, we can help prevent another pandemic.
Okay, so the third disease researched is the West Nile virus, which I'm going to be going over. So the causes and transmissions of the West Nile virus. So it's a retrovirus that targets and damages body cells, affecting a person's health. It's part of the Flaviridae family, which is also includes viruses such as the Zika virus, dengue virus, which was mentioned before, and the yellow fever virus, which are also potentially life-threatening diseases that are still around. It's transmitted by mosquitoes that pick up the virus from infected birds, which makes humans an accidental host as well as horses for the virus. So the symptoms of this virus include, so people who contract the virus have a 20 to 40% chance of developing symptoms. Symptoms closely resemble the flu, and a fever is usually the first symptom that sufferers will experience. And these symptoms come about roughly 2 to 14 days after the person contracts the virus. The common symptoms for this are, for all mild sufferers, will have headaches, joint pain, body aches, vomiting, diarrhea, and a rash. In more severe cases, it could result in inflammation in the brain, which is caused by the virus damaging neurons in the brain, which can potentially be fatal to the patient. Recent cases of this disease. So the first documented case of this virus was in 1937 with a woman in Uganda. And since then, it's been found in parts of North and South America, Africa, Asia, Oceania, and Europe. Since June 2021 to September 2021, there have been 87 cases in Europe alone and 7 deaths. and worldwide, across 2021, there's been a total of 2,445 cases and 165 deaths, which, going by the case rates, has a 6.8% mortality rate. And the cases are higher in America and Africa quite significantly. And finally, the future of this virus. There's currently no vaccine, which means people are vulnerable to the disease. Cases for this disease are not localized, but occur in areas with high mosquito populations, which means that the following proper measures to avoid mosquito bites can decrease the chance of contracting the virus. And cases have been consistent over the last 20 years, and rises in cases each year rise gradually from June to August and drop gradually from August to November, making the disease predictable, which you can see in the graph on the right. Thank you for listening.